Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Eileen, and this is Medicine Walk. And for those of you who are listening in on Blog Talk Radio, this is Healing House Radio. So I hope everyone has had a good week. I hope that, we have had the spring equinox, or Alban Elair, which is the Druid celebration for it. And it's about renewal. This is a time about connection. This is a time about starting over and finding new things and seeing something blossom where there hadn't been something before. So today, I called this episode Being a Good Tube. And the reason that I wanted to talk about it, since this month we're talking about spirituality, and really, how do we make ourselves the best possible conduit for that energy? And I've had a lot of questions, and I want to thank everybody who has asked me questions about this and about some of the other works. And one of the questions is, how do we become that clear channel? And so we're going to talk about that a little bit today. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of explore, I'm going to share some of the things that are my experiences. And once again, this is not about saying, oh, there's a particular way. I don't believe there is a way. I believe that there are multiple ways, or the way. So there's no the way. There is a way. So, these are just different options, different paths. These are things that have worked for me, and that I encourage people to, figure out what works for them. And if you have no idea where to start, well, you can start with some things that have worked for somebody else. And, if it's someone you trust, if it's someone you resonate with, and then you go from there. And there are some phenomenal teachers out there. There's some amazing folks. And, I've been very blessed to have interacted with a lot of, people who are just, amazing and like rock solid in the stuff that they're doing. And most of them are very humble about it. Most of them, are, what? It's just about showing up and being receptive when you get there. So one of the things that when we talk about, what it means to be a good tube, probably the key thing for me to that is the fact that we need to get out of our heads. We need to get out of that place where we think we're controlling the process. No. This is, when you work in this way, when you work in a way where you're incorporating, whatever spiritual traditions that you resonate with, when you're working with that, you want to be able to be the most, positive and open and willing, and willing is a big part. We're going to be talking about that. To be conscious of what it is that you're doing and what it is you're connecting to, and really appreciating, first off, that you get to be able to do that. Yeah, this work is not what we have to do, it's what we get to do. And when you're passionate about something, even if it's really hard, no matter what it is, maybe it's becoming the best car mechanic, or maybe it's, baking the perfect souffle, or maybe it's building a retaining wall. Whatever it is that you feel called to do, that you feel is important, and there's, hold on, I thought I had turned that down. Okay, so, we're just going to do that. Alright, sorry. So, anyway, whatever it is that you're doing, especially if it's hard, frame it in your mind. You don't have to do it. You get to. You get to, have that dream realized. So in working with energies, with working with spirits, with working with, angels, earth energies, whatever, it starts with you. It starts with, what space are you in today? Where are you when you're going into that work? Because, it's sort of like, in the Star Wars movie where, Luke's going into the spooky tree, and it's like, what, trees aren't spooky. Luke's going into the spooky tree, and Yoda, and he asks what he'll find, and Yoda says, "Whatever you take with you." And that applies to this work across the board. Going into it, you will find what you take in with you. If you're taking in ego, that's what you'll find, and it will not be effective. If you're taking in fear, that's what you will find, and you will not be effective. So the idea of where are you in the moment that you're doing this work? Are you connected to whatever that spiritual essence is prior to starting? And there's a lot of ways that you can do that. You can, focus on, just being in your prayer place. You can focus on, maybe you create a ritual that, where you clear yourself and you cleanse yourself, and maybe you wear a particular color. Often in a lot of traditions you would wear white, but there are other traditions where you would wear, different colors, maybe red, maybe black, maybe spring colors, maybe earth tones. Ultimately, it's whatever works for you, whatever allows you to feel your energy moving. If I'm doing a lot of work with, maybe more of the water energies, I might wear more blues and aquas, because that kind of helps me match that energy, that frequency. If, for the most part, I love wearing earth tones. So, kind of a bright blue today. But, I was kind of feeling that, so I went with it. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be something, well, why are you wearing that? It doesn't matter. If it feels right, that's what you do. That is a part of your preparation. Maybe you go outside and do jumping jacks, and that helps put you in that space. Whatever it is that works for you, do it. Whatever, because the thing is, if you're being directed to prepare yourself in a particular way, then that's what, that's that calling, that's that spirit aspect talking to you. And, in a lot of traditions, you would smudge a space. You would work on clearing an environment, and, and then you go into the work. But, this is mostly about what's going on inside of you. Are you really irritated about something that happened? Or are you feeling heartbroken because, the person you're most attracted to did not answer your text message? Are you irritated at a family member? Or are you irritated with the person that you're working with? So all of these things need to be taken into consideration, because that's what you take in with you. That's what you bring in. That can interfere with being a good, clean tube. It's about recognizing that there's a connection that runs through you. And you can make that healing work or energetic work or whatever it is you're doing, you can make it the best it can be by being in the clearest possible state. So if there's something going on that you're angry or upset about, that is not the day to do that work. Or that's not the day to do that type of work, or the one you might intend. It's a day to do your work. It's a day that, you know what, I just cannot get into the space. I'm irritated about this, I'm irritated about that. And usually that's when Spirit says, you know what, then no, this work is not going to work out. And suddenly either, your car breaks down and you can't get there, or, that particular candle you were looking for has disappeared, or whatever. Little things will start coming up to interfere with you being able to do that. And a lot of people say, it's like, oh no, it's bad spirits interfering. It's like, what, it may not be. I won't say that that doesn't happen. That, maybe something is trying to keep you from, doing something. But I have found in a lot of cases, if I'm hitting a wall on a lot of things, if I'm having a lot of stuff thrown at me, and if I stop for a minute and go, wait a minute, okay, where am I in this? Where am I, what is it that it might not be a good idea for me to do this work? And usually it's because, oh yeah, I'm still kind of irritated about that. So taking care of, that energetic part of yourself, taking care and making sure that you are being as honest as you can. When you say, hey, I'm ready to do this work, is that what you honestly mean? Because there are times when fake it till you make it is not the way to go. When you're doing a work with someone, it's not about faking it till you make it. You be authentic. You be truthful. Even if it means that, you have to call them up and say, you know what? I am not in a space to work with you today. I'm really sorry. Let's schedule another time, or I can get another practitioner to come and work with you. But, this is not a good point, and, I need to do some work on myself. And that's probably one of the most mature viewpoints that any practitioner can take, is to take ownership of the fact that, no, I'm not going to just push through it, because it's not just your energy that's concerned there. And you want to be, that clean channel. You want to be that clear conduit. You want to be that embodiment of healing, clearing, balance, grounding, whatever it is. If you're working with, maybe trying to have to deal with removing an energy from a space, or, in being in your good space, being a clear channel is that much more vital, because I do know practitioners who do work with entities, and, I do that type of work myself. And the thing is, if you go into that kind of work, and you do not have, yourself grounded, you are not clear, you got some nagging little thing, that will be discovered and that will be used against you. And it will be used against whoever it is you're working with. So, be authentic, be honest, take care of yourself. Now, another thing that could happen is maybe physically you're not feeling really good. Maybe it's like, okay, your head's in a good space, but your body's not feeling good. Maybe you picked up, the cold that's been going around the office or going around your kid's school. Or maybe, whatever it is, if you have health problems that you're dealing with and you're having that place of, wow, I'm really exhausted. I'm really this. Yes, I will say that there have been times when I have done works when I was exhausted. And I've had a lot of training to be able to do that. Plus, I know that it's like, okay, I can do that, but then immediately I know I'm going to be down for a few days taking care of myself. So, those situations should be the exception and not the rule. And, you need to be real honest about this. You don't have to be, brave or whatever. It's like, well, I'm going to be this big, powerful person, and it's like, first off, the power is not yours. It moves through you. By ourselves, there really is very little we can do. But when we connect to whatever it is, it could be, like I said, it could be earth energies, it could be, sacred geometry, it could be God, it could be Jesus, it could be, Allah, it could be, Kuan Yin. However you are connecting, whatever you are, going to help you with this process, to help you with this healing work, then you need to be able to physically, be in integrity. Making sure that if it's before work, you're either eating light or you're fasting if you can. That but not so much that, if you make yourself horribly hungry and your stomach is growling and all knotted up during a work, that's not going to work either. Do not fast unless you know how. Do not fast unless you have had either experience in it or you have somebody guiding you, because there's a lot of people who will go into a fast and they don't understand how to really manage it, how to integrate into a spiritual fast. So for something like that, and there are some folks who cannot fast. If you have a condition that you need to have food in your system, that that fasting is a bad idea, please do not fast. You can get the exact same effect by just eating very light, and kind of making sure you understand. It's like, okay, if this is just going to be a short work, then, yes, maybe you can do it for a little while. But if it's going to be one of those, I've had works that have gone for days. And so it's important to make sure that you have your physical body taken care of, that you meet your needs. And it is not selfish, and it does not take away from what you can give. Because the better you take care of yourself, this vessel, body, mind, spirit, body's in there. Body's first. Because that is what carries around everything. The body becomes the conduit. So it's involved in the process. And we need to make sure that we take care of ourselves to the best ability that we can going into it. And, this is a great time now. It's for those who, either, smoke or whatever. Now, in many traditions, they do tobacco prayers. In some native traditions and in some other indigenous traditions, there's a tobacco prayer. So it's like, yeah, you would smoke. And it's done in a ceremonial way. Or, there may be a libation of an alcohol that is ingested. If you have a problem with either one of those, then you need to figure out another way to do the ceremony. So, this is about really honoring yourself. Ceremony and works and spiritual works and all of that stuff is about, bringing spirit and, and you together to do something good. And in order to do that, you need to be at a balance point in body, mind, and spirit. So, you make sure that you take care of yourself. You make sure that you're safe. You make sure that you're grounded. And grounding is a very, very, very important part of things. Because if you're not grounded, then, it's very easy to get lost in a work. It's very easy to lose yourself. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that, one, you have a way that you ground yourself, that you come into a peaceful place. Maybe it's just sitting and holding a stone. Maybe it's, you drink water. Maybe you have somebody work on you who helps you hold that grounded place, who helps you hold a container. And you can go back and look at the earlier videos where we talked about containers. A container is a safe place to work where the energy is as much under your direction as possible, where nothing comes in that you don't want to come in, and that you're able to work and you understand what energies are inside of that space. Nothing that is not going to, work to the benefit of the person you're working on. So the idea of when you have yourself, your brain is in a good space, your mind is in a good space, you're not distracted, your body's feeling well, you're feeling healthy, you're feeling rested, you're feeling, calm and balanced, then, you focus on outside. It's like, you widen that out a little bit and take a look. It's like, okay, what are the things that could influence from the outside? What are the things that could influence my ability to stay in my good space and to be a good tube? Well, other people aggravating you. Take a look at the people you're working with. If you're in a work where it involves other people, make sure that everybody there is kind of on the same page, that, there's no little nitpicky type of stuff going on between people. That people are there, they're grounded, they're centered, and that they are demonstrating that they know how to prepare for a ceremony or a work. So, you have to take a look at those things. What's going on around? Is there something that's distracting? Did you forget to turn your cell phone off? And if so, what is it that you need to do to get back in and, and kind of gain some control over what the environment that you're going to be working in? Because if something's happening, if you're doing a work and, somebody's just outside the door and they're having a loud conversation, or, maybe, somebody else forgot to turn their cell phone off, or all those little things that can take us out of our spirit place. And this is about staying in your spirit place. This is about staying in that moment. Because it is a moment. It's a moment where you're not thinking about your bills. It's a moment where you're not thinking about, the argument that you had or that you may have. It's certainly not a point when you're thinking about, oh, wow, maybe this won't work, or maybe I'm not good enough, maybe, no. That is the badness. You don't get into that. You do not bring in that self-doubt. If you doubt yourself, then you get that taken care of before you become the tube, because that doubt will creep in. That doubt will come in and it will interfere with the work you want to do. Because honestly, if you weren't meant to do it, you wouldn't be doing it. And people would not be coming to you to ask for your help. So, don't let self-doubt, self-reflection is a good thing. Self-reflection is a very good thing. Folks walking around thinking they're all that in a bag of chips, then, sometimes they get a little lost in ego. And ego is probably one of the biggest bear traps when it comes to things that interfere with our ability to be a good tube. When we forget that it does not come from us, that it comes through us. And it really, because then it starts to be where you're using your energy when you should be tapping into cosmic energy, spiritual energy. Because the energy that we have, that will drain us. That will be finite. There are practitioners I know who believe it's like, well, I draw the badness into me, and then I deal with it, but I take it out of that person. And it's like, no, because, that may work working with one person, but what about 5? What about 10? What about 20? What about 100? You start taking on everybody's yuck, and it's going to end very poorly. So, stay in your authentic place of realizing, because the thing is, for me, it is so much more exciting to know that I am a good tube and that energy can move through me in a very effective way that allows me to become a part of it. I certainly don't want to think that it comes from me, because that's a heck of a big responsibility. There's an old saying, I've seen God's job and I don't want it. And allowing spirit, however you define it, to be able to move through you. As I said, I do not say I am a healer, because to me, the power that made the body heals the body. There are consciousness that are way more in touch with what that person needs than I am. I have a limited perspective, but what I tap into doesn't. So just being willing to be that tube, be that really good, effective tube. Because when you're doing it, you become it. You become a part of it. It fills you. And in that moment that you're doing that work and feeling that movement, it's amazing. It's better than anything else. I don't need credit. I don't need the accolades, because it's not mine. I don't want anyone to ever feel that they cannot ultimately learn to do it as well, if not better, than I do. It's not about me. It's not about the practitioner. It's about what we tap into. And I find, really the strongest practitioners are the ones who pretty much live their faith. They walk their talk. They don't talk the walk. And they do it in a way where they acknowledge everything. If they find, a penny on the ground, they say thank you. If any little good thing happens, if they find a parking spot, thank you. I didn't make a parking spot appear, but, I could put out a prayer saying, you know what, it is raining, and I would really love to be able to get a good spot, and if somebody needs it more than I do, please give it to them. If it's somebody who's got a bunch of kids, if it's somebody, and I have passed up really cool parking spots because I look in my rearview mirror and I see someone with, kids in the car that are like, ah! It's like, no, you let them have that parking spot. that wasn't meant for me. I can walk farther. I may not like it, but I can walk farther. And I trust that it's like, you know what, that's okay. But I still say thank you. It's like, you know what, thank you for that spot. And I really appreciate it. And I know that you would be happier with me sharing it with someone else, because sometimes we're given things just so we can see how generous we can be. And when we acknowledge that, the power does come from someplace higher, more massive, more encompassing, however we define it, then one, takes a lot of pressure off us, and two, it helps us remember that we are connected to everything. We're not alone. We're not alone in this work. That we're being watched and we're being guided. And the best way for us to be able to appreciate that is by just being a good tube. Well, thank you for joining me, and I hope that you have a wonderful week. Next week will be our last lesson under this topic, and we'll start a new topic for April. And I'm really enjoying this a lot, and I hope you are too. I hope that there are people, there are folks who really are getting value from this. And again, these are my perspectives. These are based on, the years that I have spent in this work, and in, just in kind of trying to figure out, how to do the best I can with it. Your best is good enough. Find the way that works for you. And remember, you're not alone. So, if you like this video, then please hit like. And if you really like it, then please subscribe. It's always cool to see the community grow. And don't forget to hit the notification so that you can, hit the little bell so you get notified when videos come up. And if you would like to support me on a bigger level, then in the description there is a link to my Patreon account, and you can help support so I can get, different equipment and, take some classes in editing and all those things. I really want to be able to see this thing grow. And I thank you for joining me. I thank you for being here. I thank you for sitting through this, and I thank you for the walk that you're taking in your life. And I'm proud of you. So, until next time, and as always, I wish you balance, and I wish you blessings from my heart to yours. Love you, and class dismissed.